everybody. Jeff Cowan here from Jeff Cowan's Pro Talk, and I'm back with a new edition of my podcast entitled Right Service, Write Your Own Paycheck, The Path to Making Over $100,000 a Year. And I'm happy to report that now over 20% of you doing that job in the United States of America, in the auto industry, in Canada, and in Australia are making over $100,000 a year. Congratulations on that. But that means about 78-79% of you are not. So what are we going to do about that? Well, here's what I recommend you do. You keep listening to my podcast, you keep watching the videos, you go to my website, take a look at the videos there, read my articles, and you stay tuned into me, because I promise you I will give you the word tracks, the techniques, and the processes you need to put yourself in that $100,000 a year or more annual income club. And it's a great one to be in. And you know what? And it's an important time to be talking about things just like that. You know, I've been fielding a lot of phone calls from advisors and managers, and this podcast is directed mostly at you this week, advisors and managers, and you've been asking, you've been telling me that you've been looking to God, you've been praying to heaven, you've been looking through the clouds and asking, what's going on with this pandemic going on? Business is down. You've been asking yourself, is the business going to survive? Is the business going to shrink? Is the business going to need me tomorrow? Am I going to be able to provide for my family? And you know what? Those are the questions you should be asking, because we're in a very unique situation here. And with millions of people out of work, looking for work, and college grads getting out and having no job prospects for the next year or two, and same thing with high school students, I think it's time that you do one thing. If you do nothing else, do this. It's time for you to have with yourself that come to God meeting. You know, if you've been in business for very long at all, you've heard bosses say, you've heard those in charge say from time to time, you know, I think it's time to have a come to God meeting with that person and make them real or make them go away. And basically what they're saying when they say have a come to God meeting is sit down and ask this person, find out, do you have what it takes to do this job? Do you want to do this job? Are you dedicated to this job? Are you committed? Are you committed to being the best you can be in helping this business grow? It's called the come to God meeting. And now it's time that you have one with yourself. You look in the mirror and have that proverbial come to God meeting. Now, to make things worse, like I said, not only do we have millions of people out of work, but the ones that are out of work are the very ones that could swoop in and take your job. You know, if you've watched the last couple of podcasts I've had, I put things out there telling business owners and managers, you know, if you want to upgrade your employees, your staff and stuff, now's the time to do it, because these people that are unemployed, here's where they're coming from. Now, think about this. They're coming from restaurants. They're servers. Servers are basically, have the same type of skill set advisors do. They're coming from retail stores. There's literally retail chains closing down by the hundreds, thousands of stores closing, thousands, if not millions of people coming from retail stores that have the skill set they need to do your job. The teaching field, other sales professions. I mean, and these people not only have the skill set, but I've seen these same people, maybe you come from areas of employment like that, and they make excellent service advisors and excellent service managers. Now, at this recording, I believe that 30% of you that are service advisors and service managers are okay. You won't be replaced, and for some reason, if your business closes down or it gets sold or it's no longer there, since you're in that top 30%, you have nothing to worry about, because even if that were to happen, you'd instantly be rehired because you're among the best. I think 30% of you have nothing to worry about, all right? But 70% of you are in trouble, okay? Because you're in trouble. Because with all these people sitting around and all this talent available out there, you're going to have to be among the best to have the job security that you're praying God grants you, right? All right, so what do you do if you're in that bottom 70%? Here's what I recommend you do. I would follow what I like to call the good, better, best rule. Now, what's the good, better, best rule? Now, the good, better, best rule is this. If you're good at what you do, then your job is to become better at what you do. If you're better than most who are doing the job, then your job is to become better than them and be the best at doing the job. And once you become the best at doing the job, your job is to keep yourself there amongst the best forever and put yourself in that top 30%. So how do you do that? Well, let's say that you had your come to God meeting, and basically you found out through your soul searching that you're just good at the job. So the first step is we got to get you from good to better. We got to start working on this job security. Now this is going to be the easiest way to get the best results. Going from good to better is really, really easy. All right, so here's what you have to do, because this is where you're going to see the biggest increases, the biggest increase in your skill set and the like. All right. First thing you have to do is you have to take a look at your entire process that you personally use. And I mean from everything. From the initial contact to your customer. Let's assume you're a service advisor. From the initial contact on the telephone when you're trying to get them to come in, you take a look at that. You take a look at your greeting. You take a look at your ability to ask diagnostic questions, set realistic expectations, your ability to walk around the car, your ability to make a 6-step benefit-based presentation, your ability to ask for and get the money. Can you handle objections? You take a look at setting up realistic expectations. Can you? How are your phone skills? Are you good on the phone? What's your closing ratio? Can you deliver the car back at the end of the day in a professional way? Yeah. What's your follow-up like? Are you good at it? You take a look at everything that you do. And what you're going to do is you're going to make a list from where you think you're weakest to your strongest. And what you're going to do is you're going to take your weakest points, and that's what you're going to work on first. Now, when you're working on these various points, you're going to work on one area at a time. And it doesn't necessarily have to fall in order. You might find that getting people to walk through the door when you're talking to them on the phone is one of your strengths. You might find that your meet and greeting is one of your strengths. So you wouldn't start there. That would be at the bottom of the list because that's your strengths. You want to start with your weakest point. Okay, because by starting with your weakest point and getting better there, you're going to see near instant results, and that's where you're going to see your biggest results. Now, when you're working on each one of these points, I hope you're writing this down. So you've identified your strengths and weaknesses. You've listed them, weaknesses at the top all the way down to your strengths. So when you pick the weakness you're working on, only work on each step for 2 or 3 days. I don't care how weak you are at it, you work on it for 2 or 3 days. You don't want to string this thing out. You don't have time. These people out there that are going to take your job are knocking on the door right now. And we're not talking about something like sending men to the moon or being a doctor or becoming a lawyer that takes 4-year degree, 6-year degree, 8-year degree. We're talking about simply greeting a customer. Either you can do it great or you can't. We're talking about walk around the car. Either you can do it great or you can't. So give yourself no more than 2 or 3 days to work on each point. Okay, and as you do that, understand that you're going to have to practice these things for 2 or 3 hours a day. Yeah, 2 or 3 hours a day. Well, you say, Jeff, I already work 8 to 10, maybe 12 hours a day. You're telling me I got to put another 2 or 3 hours on top of it? Yes, you're only good. You're trying to get to better so you can get to best so you don't have to worry about job security, because right now if you're only good, you're the most likely candidate to get laid off or replaced. So yeah, 2 or 3 hours. You might have to work 12 to 16 hours. Now, one of the things that will help you do this and knowing what to work with is take a look at your team members and the people around you that are already better or the best. Pay attention to what they do, how they do it, how they say it. Write it down word for word and memorize it and work on it every single day. Because again, your thing is here is you want to go from good to better. Now, in doing this, so you're going to do these extra 2 or 3 hours, you say, well, Jeff, where do I find the extra 2 or 3 hours? Get up an hour early in the morning before you go to work and work on your weaknesses there. When you get done at the end of the day, work on it for an hour or two there. And you say, well, who do I work on it with? Work on it with other employees if you can. And work on it with family members if you have to. Work on it with anybody that will work on it with you, because we're at a critical thing. If you're only good at the job, you've got to become better to start to create this job security. All right? Now, the one thing that's cool about this formula, because again, after 2 or 3 days, you've taken your biggest weakness, and 2 or 3 days you've worked on it, and now it's one of your strengths. You go to the next one, okay? So now you're going to work on it for 2 or 3 days, 2 or 3 hours a day, and then you go to the next one and the next one, all right? And then you find yourself now better than most who are doing the job. Now you're going to take the same process and you're going to go from better to best. But the difference is going to be is since what you were doing for those 2 or 3 hours is basically mastering the basics, because people that are typically better at the job have mastered the basic fundamentals. So now that you've done that, now to go from good to better, you've accomplished that, going better to best. Now what you're doing is you only need 10 minutes, 20 minutes, maybe 30 minutes a day. All right? Because what you're doing when you go from better to best, because that's the next step, is its nuance. You're getting your confidence up. You're getting smoother. You're tweaking. You're sharpening. So again, 10, 20, 30 minutes a day is all you need. Now again, when you're doing that, when you're going from better to best, you're doing the same thing. You're going to reassess every step of the process that you're using. You're going to start with your weakest point, and you're going to simply spend 10, 20, 30 minutes on it a day until you become the best. All right? Now, going from better to best is where your results won't be as impressive as they were when you went from good to better, because again, if you're good, you probably don't have the basics mastered, but so by doing the basics, you'll see just huge chunks of increases in all your productivity. Again, when you're going from better to best, you're just tweaking whatever. You'll see increases, but they'll be smaller and they'll be further apart. Now, once that you're the best, now what your job is to stay the best. So how do you stay being the best? You stay being the best by constantly having a come to God meeting literally every day. Where's my strengths? What's my weaknesses? What's my biggest weakness? For the next 2 or 3 days, I'm going to work on that biggest weakness, and I'm going to spend 10, 20, 30 minutes, whatever it takes, and I'm going to continue to become better. I'm going to continue to not only become better at being the best, I'm going to be the best and the best and the best. I want to stay there. I want to be. Why? Because when you're the best, you're now in the top 30%, and you've got your job security. Now, I want to tell you that I just don't talk this stuff. I walk this stuff. It's almost like I'm paranoid about it. I've got to be the best, because even though I've been a salesperson my entire life, even though I've done what I'm doing for 30 years, you think that I'd have this thing down, right? But I always take a look at myself, and there's always areas I feel that I can be stronger in, and that's what I work on. And when I say I walk the walk, let me share a couple stories here with you. A few years ago I came home and about gave my wife a heart attack. Why? Because I came in after being a public speaker, presenter, having done thousands of presentations on thousands of stages. I announced to my wife that I just signed up for a speaker school, a 4-day speaker school, at a price tag of $15,000 plus the expenses to get there and all the materials and eating and all that stuff. Now, you may be asking yourself, why after over 3 decades of doing what you're doing, hundreds of presentations, if not thousands of presentations, all the stages, groups large and small, why at this time in stage of your life would you sign up for a speaking class? Because I want to be the best, and I've got to be the best. I've got to be better than everybody else. I have to be. That's why I do those types of things. And you know what? That $15,000 paid off. Instantly, when I got through with it, I made some changes in my presentation, and my income soared through the roof. It actually went up 30%. And that's I don't mean to be pretentious here, but that's a substantial amount of money. It went up over 30% instantly because I changed some things I did. I was not only the best, but I became even better at being the best. Another thing I did. In the industry, if you're on the car dealership side, you know that the National Automobile Dealers Association convention, NADA convention, is one of the prime speaking jobs you can get every year. Now, I was asked to be there last year. I was asked to make an hour-long presentation. And even though I had talked about the different parts, and I'd done parts of that presentation many, many times before, I didn't just assume that I could walk out on that stage the 3 times they asked me to do it at an hour each and make that presentation off the cuff. So you know what I did? I flew in to Las Vegas. I flew in a day early. And what I did, and the reason I flew in a day early, is I got up on that day I was there a day early. I didn't go out and gamble. I didn't go see shows. I worked. What I did is I made that presentation no less than 7 times that day. That's over 7 hours that I put into that. I recorded it every time. I went back and I listened to it, and each time it got better and better and better and better. And it worked, because when I walked out on that stage and I made that presentation, not the second time or the third time, but from that very first second I walked on stage, I was the best. And out of the 45 speakers that were there, I was told that I was just that rated one of the top 2 or 3 speakers of the whole event, and many told me I was the best. I don't mean to sound pretentious. I'm just trying to prove a point and share with you that what I'm asking you to do and telling you to do, you should do. Okay? I was literally the best one there. And you say, well, why would you do that? After being in business for over 30 years, and doing this for decades and decades, why would you do that? Because I feel that if somebody's willing to give me their time to come to a presentation of mine, whether it's NADA or any place else, it's my job to make every second of every minute of every hour they're sitting in that class and they're sitting in that audience and they're listening to me, I owe it to them to be the absolute best I can be. And you have to have that same attitude. If those people are willing to pick up their phones and call you and talk to you on the phone and set up a time to come in and get their vehicle checked in by you, and they're willing to show up and give you that 10 or 15 minutes in the morning so you can get them checked in, and then leave their car and communicate with you on and off for all day long or for a couple days, however long it takes, and then give you their time to allow you to deliver the car back and answer the phone when you do your follow-up and read your letters and thank you notes when you send it to them, you owe it to them to be the absolute best that you can be. You owe them that. And when you have that type of mindset, I mean, it's not only easy to go from good to better, and not only easy to go from better to best, but once you become the best, it's easy to stay the best. And that's what you want to be. Because when you're the best, you're in the top 30% of the people that are in the best in your industry, and you have nothing to worry about. So, here's what I'm recommending you're doing. Here's what I'm saying. We've all heard about the proverbial come to God meeting. I want you to have that come to God meeting with yourself. I want you to see the light. I want you to take the leap of faith, and I want you to go from good to better, and from better to best. And once you're the best, I want you to be the best there forever. And say, hallelujah, you made it. Because once you become the best, I want you to become, in becoming the best, a disciple of your business. I want you to become a disciple of your process and the way you do business. And when you do that, the good word will spread amongst your flock and to your customers that you're the best. And once the people hear you're the best, again, your flock will grow. And when their flock will grow, the customers will get the service they were praying they were going to get when they get there. And as your flock grows, your income will grow. Your benefits that you receive will multiply, and you will flourish in your career. So your prayers will be answered if you take these steps and go from being good to better and better to best. And you'll find yourself in that heavenly sanctuary, if you will, of job security. Can I get an amen on that? Have that. Come to God meeting with yourself today. Be honest. Note what you are. You're good, you're better, you're best. And if you're good, then you have to become better. If you're better, you have to become the best. And once you become the best, you have to stay the best. The time to have the proverbial come to God meeting, again, repeating myself, is right now. Again, can I get an amen on that? Hey, my name's Jeff Cowan. I have a company called Jeff Cowan's Pro Talk. If you want us to show you how to maximize your opportunities in your business, or you're an individual and you want to be the best you can be, call me. I can come to your store. We'll work side by side with you on the service drive and coach, critique, role play. We'll show you how to get more sales, how to get your income up, how to get effective labor rate, survey scores, customer retention, how to eliminate heat forever. I've got this stuff recorded on a virtual training platform. I can do workshops. I can do whatever you want. But if you want to be the best, you dial that number, 1-800-248-2931. Call it today, 1-800-248-2931. Anybody picks up that phone can put you on the path to becoming the absolute best you can be. Want to talk to me personally? Dial 317-506-1003, 317-506-1003. If I can, I'll pick up the phone. If not, I'll call you back within 24 hours. With that, I'm going to say goodbye for today, and in between now and next week, when I'll be back with another message, I want you to make it a great day, and I want you to make as many other people in your life make their day better as well, because between now and then, that's what I'm going to do. God bless you all, and I'll talk to you soon. Thanks for listening.